This is my first time of being here, and I must commend Star Times for your production.
Thank you.
It's good and dandy. It's excellent.
We have a long way to go, but
production. Behind the scene, a lot of work goes into it. You've done really well.
Awesome.
If you look at the game, in every conceivable way, Great Olympics was the better of the two sides. No two ways about that. Kotoko had an improved game in the second half. Barreto's substitutions were impactful. That notwithstanding, generally, in totality, Olympics was the better of the two sides. They were able to possess the ball. They were more comfortable controlling the game. Despite the fact that when they get to the final third, it becomes a problem. But they did very well. If you listen to the interview by the two coaches, Arno Walker, I would doff my hat to him. He's a local coach. His understanding of the game, in my estimation, is excellent. He's produced quality on the pitch of play by way of tactics. Unfortunately, he couldn't get results. Barreto had a good substitution in the second half. He did well in the second half. The first half belonged to Grey Olympics. Almost all the players who came in the second half were better than the starters. Sarkodie in the first half was robust, but there was no creativity. Acheampong came in, and almost all his runs were dangerous. Just that the delivery at the end of it couldn't yield results. So I'll credit Barreto for that. His substitutions were very good.
With Acheampong coming on, his job basically was to attack the back forward. As any time he got the chance, running in or trying to take some shots at the back.
Yes, I think he played that role perfectly well, except that his deliveries were bad. This opportunity, for instance, it should have gone straight. You see where the arrow is? That is where the ball should have gone. Should have gone straight into the net, in my estimation. Either on the first post, where the first post on the left, where the first post is, or through the legs of the goalkeeper. But for whatever reason, the shot was feeble. And that could have resulted in a goal for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. He did a lot of work, but
Dan, it was a super tackle from the man of the match. And pockets of those tackles were timely in that game. Now, you see Acheampong, you see him here, and he was having a full blast of the ball. But that stretched leg from Sechere
so this is a match-saving...
super.
And for me, those tackles makes those defenders man of the match. Again, he will do another tackle.
But even with the tackle, even with the outstretched leg, if he had targeted the first post, he could still have scored.
But the point was
from where he was
the point was that he had a full blast of the ball, and he was targeting where the ball was going, where the arrow is showing. But for that stretched leg of Sechere, the ball couldn't even get to the goalkeeper. You will see when the player is in a certain motion.
Where the arrow is pointing to is in between the legs of the goalkeeper.
That's right.
What I'm saying is that he could still have used the first post.
I'm saying that it was too close that from where the goalkeeper is standing and between him and the post, he was aiming for that corner, okay? And the arrow was showing in between the legs. But I'm saying that before the ball could even get closer to the goalkeeper, Sechere Ebenezer had blocked that ball. And so that was an astonishing defending.
Well, Sechere did well.
He would do a similar tackle with regards to Jemfi. You will see when we go into that motion, when they should release that strike. You see, so even before the ball could get to the goalkeeper, he had made sure there was no danger. And again, you see Acheampong with that brilliant touch, and then he will go for power. But that makes defenders man of the match. And if you are able to make such timely tackles, like 3 times or twice in the second half where Kotoko dominated, I think probably he could stand the chance.
Sechere did well. But when it comes to total influence on the game, Ashikwe should have been the man of the match.
Let's look at the influence of the substitutions.
Wonderful cross from Patrick Asma.
Was it a wonderful cross? You think so?
It was a tailor-measured.
I think the ball was too high.
And he couldn't
for
change.
Vinicius. It was too high for him.
Adjust himself.
Because if you look at his height, but for the fact that he's a tall player, he couldn't even has gotten his head to the ball. It was too high. It could have been better dealt with by the crosser of the ball.
Where I want to disagree a little bit on yours is that the cross came in, he had yard of space to really even jump before the ball comes, to adjust himself very well. So by the time he gets down, he could have, got closer to the ball. No, that won't work.
That is another option.
I think
but
Dan's
ask
point is that
yourself,
the ball was so high.
yeah,
He's a very tall
He's the
player.
tallest player on the pitch.
Okay, let's
still.
see. Let's see. Before the ball was kicked,
How many players could
Let's see.
hang
When
in
he
the
jumped.
air and wait for the ball apart from Messi?
exactly.
And
So
Ronaldo?
the technique was wrong.
Guys, could we also not say that if perhaps he had looked up, he would have seen an incoming
At this
player
point, he's
at the far-
he's looking at asthma.
and looked and taken a
He could
cross
have
to the
he
far
could have
post?
left the ball for the oncoming player.
Yeah. At this point, Vinicius is looking at asthma.
I get
And
it.
he has seen asthma
What
with the
you are
cross.
saying is that if Vinicius had communicated well with the oncoming player, he could have done it, and then the oncoming
And
player,
Acheampong was the one coming.
exactly, could have probably gotten Kotoko a goal. Who knows? But I disagree with Jude that he is afraid of how Oli is losing grip of the time.
Yes, they are.
You know what? I sitting here, I never expected Olympics to put up this performance this season.
A lot of people.
And in the past 20 years,
Yes.
this is the second time that Olympics has picked 4 points from Kotoko
In a season.
in the past 20 years.
And that's
the last time was in 2017.
That's better
They defeated
returns than
Kotoko 2-0
Kotoko.
in the
Right.
first leg and then drew with them 1-1 in the second leg.
Yes,
and
but
since then,
if you do all this work,
you
and
get it.
and you come
so
back
it's
to
not
tell us
been
you
a
want
bad
to go to
season
Africa.
at all.
No.
You can blame
They're
Olympics
losing grip.
for losing to Legon cities.
That's
but for
right.
this game, they've given a good account of themselves.
They've got a
Now, you
point.
can't blame them
From the
for this
league
game.
leaders getting a point.
No. They've really done well.
Like I said again, if you look at
They
the
shouldn't have
dynamics, I'm
faulted
coming.
against Legon cities. That
I'm
I
coming.
agree with you.
Yes.
But for this game, Olympics have given a good account of themselves. Honestly,
Dan, because they've taken 4 points from Kotoko. That's where you are coming from.
And
not
the
only
point from the
Kotoko,
league
but they are the
leaders.
league leaders.
Right.
It is not like the name Kotoko,
see,
but they are the league leaders.
But you
now.
agree with me, the performance of Kotoko does not show they are invisible. And Kotoko, even if you watch against Berkut Chelsea, who they won, they knew they could have lost that game.
No, but
Let's not that
picking
game.
Guys, let's come
4
back
out
and-
of a possible 6 from them.
Let's come back and look at this technique by Awaku. I mean, the wall was
Yes.
well positioned, but he managed to lift it
Yeah.
just above them.
It tells you about the technicality of Awaku. Kotoko had several free kicks in advantageous positions, but the delivery was so poor. The least said about them, the better. But if you look at how he took this free kick, it tells you that the guy is technically gifted. No wonder he's in the Black Stars team and he's a former World Cup winner.
Exactly.
And also, if you look at the chances that were created by Olympics in the second half, they themselves were not looking as sharp as they should be.
Well, in the second half, things changed. Let's be honest. The Kotoko substitutions changed the dynamics of the game. They didn't have absolute control like they did in the first half, and that's how come the chances they created were that few. But even with the few chances they created, if they had dealt with them well, they could still have gotten a goal. For instance, that effort by Ashikwe on the adjacent to the penalty spot, he laid the ball back to Awaku.
Yeah.
And Awaku, knowing that he was not standing in a very good position, also laid it back. The final delivery, I've forgotten the player who took the shot, but it was a poor one.
Yes.
They didn't do bad, honestly. They didn't do bad.
But I'm happy for Mariano Barreto. In his 3 games,
Unbeaten.
he's still unbeaten. 7 out of 9. But
No goals conceded.
what I love, he has considered 1 goal, but what I love about him is the way he has molded the Kotoko team, even without their most influential players, they still look solid. And how he always changed the dynamics in the second half. You see, it takes a good coach to read how your boys are playing and come back and make them a different side. Yeah. And he does make those spot-on substitutions. And for me, that's a good coach. He is trying to implement, he is trying to strategize, and he is bringing how he wants them to play on board. And for me, Kotoko will get better as the season goes. You heard him in a post-match interview when he said, this is a marathon, and my team will get better. He missed Augustine Okra, he missed Fabio Gama, and he missed quite some number of players. And I'm sure with Emmanuel Kayeke, Adon Frepom, all getting back to training, I'm sure Kotoko will get better. And for me, I'm happy for Mariano Barreto.
Let's pause on that because we'll come back and look at how the results would influence not just the table, but going forward, the next few matches for Kotoko as well as Olympics.